What was your reaction when Uncle B passed away?
I was hurt. I was hurt. I was hurt, I was shocked. To me, when I first met him, because he was so smooth, right? And I used to, B put me on to a lot of things. That's a dude, like, he had a good heart. You can't do him wrong because he'll still help you out. Do wrong. Because, he helped everybody out. I thought, like, when I first met him, he was so cool. Like, that man wasn't going to die till he's, like, 90.
Right.
I know his wife. I know his little son, BJ. So it's like, it's like, wow. And I used to hang out in the studio, Pirate recorded, and B, man, I was like, wow, man. When they hit me, I was like, are you serious? I said, how? Nobody ever gonna say. And I heard mad stories. He got poisoned. They shot him. I said, I don't care. I said, I can't believe he dead, man. It killed me right there. Then, I had my own thoughts in my head. Like, it's just a life,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Uncle B sounded like he played like a mentor kind of role in your guys' life.
He definitely was. And he definitely did not want, he didn't like violence amongst friends. He did not like violence amongst friends. And I guess, I don't know how he entered, the whole scene. I know how I met him. I met him through Cuban and all that. He took us under the wing. And, it's pretty much Cuban vouched for us to do the construction shit. He's the one that set that shit up for us. Cuban knew who he was, man. We was getting paper, man. It was about that time. Because, it was going to be dope, son. That shit was going to be dope, man. We did an excellent job, son. We had jackhammers breaking down the walls. Son, him is 6 foot. We had so much food. Son, it was so lucky. And, B would go in his pockets like, son, here. It just throw money on the table because that was like our pay. And we didn't get paid for it. He showed us love. If we needed something, ask. He's like, you good? They're like, yeah. And, here, take that. He don't ask you questions. He'll just do it. And, some people take advantage of that. I've seen people take advantage of it.
Yeah, we know one person that did.
Yeah, took real advantage of it and thought shit was sweet. And he wasn't built like that. But B, man, he'll give anybody the world. And I'm not just kissing ass. If you know B, you know B.
That's tragic, bro. Like, that's the type of shit where you...
Word, man. When me and Smooth never spoke about it and never brought it up. I never even spoke about it to Cuban, nobody. I never asked them questions. When I found out, when they told me, I was like, what? I was there, around the area, but just never asked questions, man.
I remember when I interviewed Smooth, and Smooth was just like saying like that was like one of the few times he ever seen like people from Terror Squad cry was when Uncle B passed away.
Oh, well, that ain't the only time because...
Well, he said one of the few times.
I was there. Yeah, I was there. When my man Gizmo got killed, I was there that night too. That bullets went over our heads and we bawled that night. We bawled. We bawled. That was the first member lost in dad passed away since a long time. So it was like crazy. It was crazy. And then B passed away. Oh, yeah. We bawled, bro. You're going to cry like a baby, like you lost your moms.
Can you talk about like one of your most memorable times with Uncle B?
Of course. Nobody know about it, but, B used to... Cuban know about it. Yeah, he used to come see me. In Academy Gardens. And it was him and his wife one time. And, he wanted to have dinner with me, but we was doing business one time. And he used to always say, yo, where the priestess is at where? He used to stay away from him, man. My boy's resting in peace, but he used to stay away, but he never liked precincts and nothing like that. He didn't want to drive next to it. I said, there's one over there, I think it was 43rd precinct over there next to the sound. So we used to meet in Castle Hill. And, and we hung out that night. We ate some pizza and we talked. And, one of those, just that talk. And that's a memorable time because it was just me and him.
Right. It was special.
It was just me and him and nobody know. And of course, Cuban know. Yeah, you know, and then that's something we was doing and nobody knew because I was the type I always did my business without nobody knowing.
Right.
Everybody used to say, yo, I was still getting money. I mean, I always slide off and my crew, Posse None, Cuban ain't lying. I was always the leader. I mean, one thing I didn't like is getting into a fight with my crews. I didn't like fighting you. You would think I'm a punk because I would, G, I fall back from you. But we don't get it twisted. We got in some brawls. Until one day I said, you know what? Y'all ain't showing me no love. And I just started giving it back to them hard. You know what I mean? And that's when I realized they ain't real bros no more. You feel me?
Can you tell?
But B,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but B, man, he was a mentor. You know, he used to tell you, there's a lot of things I was expressed to B when we had that talk that day because that's when I was living in Soundview. And, you know, this was like, you know what I mean? It was based on money and survival, though. I mean, so he used to give me good advice on especially investing.
Right.
So I asked him because he knew from that start I was into, you know, I mean, I had this thing about Italians since I was adopted. And when it comes to, you know, I was like, I can't say the first ones, but it's like one of the first ones that I know that shook hands with John Gotti and met him. You know what I mean, and I used to live over there next to his social club. So, and that's through my, you know, adopted family. But, and that reminds me of B. Every time I dealt with B, he reminds me, he was so smooth. He talked so calm, never worried, eye to eye. So he was definitely a good mentor. I asked him a couple of questions, you know what I mean? But it was hard to catch him by himself because he's always showing everybody love. He just don't have he just didn't have a favorite.
Right.
I mean, he was a businessman, you know. You showed him love, he showed you love. But you had more than just me, other people noticing people taking advantage of you. You feel me?